Today, we're going to explore the solar system to see the temperatures of the planets. Thank you for watching and enjoy. You might think that the closer a planet is to the Sun, the hotter it is, and for the most part, this is true. But there are some surprising exceptions that reveal the complexity and diversity of our solar system. Let's start with the closest planet to the Sun, Mercury. Mercury is the smallest and fastest planet in the solar system, orbiting the Sun in just 88 days. It is the closest planet to the Sun at an average distance of about 58 million kilometers, or 36 million miles. That means it receives a lot of solar radiation, which heats up its surface to a scorching 430 degrees Celsius, or 800 degrees Fahrenheit on the day side. But Mercury has no atmosphere to trap the heat, so at night, the temperature drops to a frigid negative 180 degrees Celsius, or negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit on the dark side. That is a difference of over 600 degrees Celsius or 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit between day and night. This is the largest temperature variation of any planet in the solar system. Next up is Venus, the second planet from the Sun and the brightest object in the night sky after the Moon. Venus is often called Earth's twin because it is similar in size, mass, and composition. But don't let that fool you. Venus is anything but hospitable. Venus is about 108 million kilometers, or 67.2 million miles away from the Sun. But Venus has a thick atmosphere made mostly of carbon dioxide, which creates a runaway greenhouse effect that makes it the hottest planet in the solar system. The average surface temperature of Venus is a whopping 464 degrees Celsius, or 867 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead, and unlike Mercury, Venus has very little temperature difference between day and night because its atmosphere distributes the heat all over the planet. Moving on to the third planet from the Sun, we have our home Earth. Earth is the only planet in the solar system that can support life as we know it. Thanks to its moderate distance from the Sun, its protective atmosphere, and its liquid water. Earth is about 150 million kilometers, or 93 million miles away from the Sun, which is the optimal distance for maintaining a stable and comfortable climate. The average surface temperature of Earth is 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit, but it varies widely depending on the location, season, and time of day. The hottest place on Earth is Death Valley, California, where the temperature reached 56.7 degrees Celsius, or 134 degrees Fahrenheit in 1913. The coldest place on Earth is Antarctica, where the temperature dropped to minus 89.2 degrees Celsius, 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, in 1983. The fourth planet from the Sun is Mars, the red planet. Mars is about 228 million kilometers, 142 million miles away from the Sun. That is almost twice as far as Earth, which means it receives much less solar heat. Mars has a thin atmosphere made mostly of carbon dioxide, which makes it a cold and dry world, with an average surface temperature of about negative 60 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. However, Mars also has seasons, polar caps, and weather, which cause temperature variations across the planet. The warmest place on Mars is the equator, where the temperature can reach 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, at noon. The coldest place on Mars is the polar regions, where the temperature can plunge to negative 125 degrees Celsius, 195 degrees Fahrenheit, in winter. Now we enter the realm of the gas and ice giants. The four largest planets in the solar system, the first gas giant is Jupiter, the fifth planet from the Sun and the largest planet in the solar system. Jupiter is so big that it could fit all the other planets inside it, and still have room to spare. Jupiter is also very far from the Sun, at an average distance of 778 million kilometers, 484 million miles. That is more than 5 times as far as Earth, which means it receives very little solar heat. This makes Jupiter a very cold planet. The average temperature of Jupiter's cloud tops is negative 110 degrees Celsius, 166 degrees Fahrenheit. But Jupiter also generates its own heat from the gravitational compression of its massive interior. This internal heat is part of what creates the colorful bands and storms that we see on Jupiter's surface. The most famous storm is the Great Red Spot, a giant hurricane-like storm that has been raging for centuries. The sixth planet from the Sun is Saturn, the second largest planet in the solar system, and the most recognizable one, thanks to its spectacular rings. Saturn is also a gas giant with a similar composition and structure to Jupiter. Saturn is even farther from the Sun, at an average distance of about 1.4 billion kilometers, or 886 million miles. That is almost 10 times as far as Earth, which makes Saturn a very cold planet, with an average temperature of negative 140 degrees Celsius, or negative 220 degrees Fahrenheit, at its cloud tops. But like Jupiter, Saturn also produces its own heat from the gravitational compression of its core. The seventh planet from the Sun is Uranus, the third largest planet in the solar system. It is an ice giant, with a different composition and structure than Jupiter and Saturn. Uranus has more water, ammonia, and methane in its atmosphere, which gives it a bluish-green color. Uranus is also very far from the Sun, at an average distance of 2.9 billion kilometers, 1.8 billion miles. That is almost 20 times as far as Earth, which makes Uranus a very cold planet, with an average temperature of -195 degrees Celsius, 320 degrees Fahrenheit at its cloud tops. Uranus is also drastically tilted on its side, at an angle of 98 degrees. This means it rotates like a rolling ball rather than a spinning top. This causes extreme seasons on Uranus, where each pole faces the Sunday or the darkness for 42 Earth years at a time. The eighth and last planet from the Sunday is Neptune, the fourth largest planet in the solar system. Neptune is also an ice giant, with a similar composition and structure to Uranus. Neptune has more methane in its atmosphere, which gives it a deep blue color. Neptune is also very far from the Sunday, at an average distance of 4.5 billion kilometers, 2.8 billion miles. That is almost 30 times as far as Earth, which makes Neptune a very cold planet with an average temperature of -200 degrees Celsius, 330 degrees Fahrenheit at its cloud tops. But despite its distance from the Sunday, Neptune has the strongest winds in the solar system, reaching speeds of up to 2,000 kilometers per HR 1,200 miles per HR. Neptune also has storms, such as the Great Dark Spot, a giant vortex that lasted for several years. So there you have it, the average temperatures of the 8 planets in our solar system, as well as their average distances from the Sun. As you can see, each planet has its own unique characteristics and challenges, which make them fascinating subjects of scientific exploration and discovery. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to visit some of these worlds and experience their climates firsthand. Until then, I'm content here on Earth where the conditions are survivable. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new about the planets in our solar system. If you did, feel free to show your support with a thumbs up or by sharing this video with someone else who may enjoy it. If you would like to see more videos like this in the future, feel free to subscribe. Thanks again. Until next time, take care and be well.